Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Karoline and this is my channel called Karoline's Knits, where I talk about everything I have been knitting. My name is obviously Karoline. I am originally Danish but live in Scotland with my partner Ben, and we have a new member of our household which is probably making lots of noise. Eating the treat I just gave her to get her peace and quiet. We have gotten a little puppy called Fela, and I'll speak more about Fela later because I really want to get through some knitting stuff before I get too sidetracked. She might jump up here any minute and then I'll scramble to move everything out of her hands and her sharp little baby teeth. It feels really strange to be back, if I'm honest, and I didn't really intend to be gone for this long, and I actually feel really awkward filming again. It almost feels like it's my first episode. I can see that there's been a few subscribers joining me while I've been away, and so welcome to anyone new to my channel, and welcome to all of you who stuck around and are back here for more. As I said, I'll speak more about some of the personal life stuff because while I am a huge dog fan, I'm aware that not everyone wants to listen about the sort of personal aspect. But yeah, I'm going to talk about that later. So first, let's go on with some knitting, and we're joined by the special guest soon, I assume. Vela, do you want to come up here? Do you want to come up here? Hi. Hi. Okay. So I didn't really intend to be gone for so long. She's probably feeling a little bit neglected because I was really keen to film first before I take her out on a lunchtime walk. So I have been wondering how to film with her at home, and that's really what has stopped me filming, because she believes that all the fun happens while she sleeps, so she always fights sleeping. While I've been gone, I have definitely not had as much knitting time as I thought I would. So actually I feel like the content is probably about the same as it would usually be. I haven't bought any new stuff, so there'll be no acquisitions today. I'm also going to keep the editing a little bit lighter today, just because I would rather get an episode out than spend forever doing all the fancy things. So links to the patterns, the yarn, the colours of the yarn, pattern names and all of that will be in the description box where they usually live anyway. So I'm wearing the first finished object out of two. I'm wearing my day off sweater that I test knitted from Knitflitter. This one I actually finished end of July, just before we picked up this little rascal, and I haven't had much chance to wear it because she bites everything. So it's with yarn on the line that I'm sitting with anything knitting related this close to her. I have really enjoyed the test knit of this. It was really fast. It's currently out in, she's already released a Danish pattern, but I think she's planning to translate it because there's actually interest in an English pattern. I'll show you in a cutaway, but it has nice thumb holes, and it has a nice dip hem at the back, this nice loose soft and comfy neckline. I think I spoke about it in my last episode, but I really picked this colour and this pattern because I was keen to have something to wear out on casual like dog walks and out, you know, just chilling, that kind of like relaxed vibe. And I just thought this colour really fit the bill. You know, it will look really cute with like today when I'm just wearing a pair of jeans or a pair of leggings with a pair of boots while out walking, but equally I could also just wear it with pyjama pants chilling around. The yarn is was sponsored kindly by Lang Yarns and sent over here by Nina, that is behind Knitflitter. And it's very soft and very nice. I do think there's a bit of pilling, especially here sort of around the sleeves, and on one shoulder I wore a bag and you can see where the bag has been rubbing. But yeah, so far so good. Hello my little baby, hello. And yeah, so the pattern I would say is probably sort of like advanced beginner, so kind of like that stage where you're ready to try some short rows, you're ready to try some Italian like cast on and bind off, and yeah, that's really the main things in this, because it just has this raglan construction. It isn't technically that difficult, but yeah, it does require a little bit of technique. Hello you. So far so good, and look at this little baby shark. Would you want to chew on this instead of me, please? So yeah, trying to think what else to say about it. I know that Nina has talked about potentially hacking this, and I'll be quite intrigued to sort of give it a different neckline, because it does have quite a wide neck, and that was the design intention, but I know that probably is not for everyone. So moving on to my next finished object, which I'm just going to try and hold up. This one has been on my needles for a while. I have already filmed cutaways, so at least I can guarantee you'll see those. It is my Fern sweater. The Fern sweater is a pattern from Knitting from Olive, and it was released last year in when was it released, Fela? Was it in November? I think it was November. And then I asked for that yarn from my granny for Christmas. I have had it in my stash since November, and then I cast it on yeah, end of November. I didn't cast on in November. It's poppy brain, sorry you guys. So basically I wanted to cast it on in December, but I think what ended up happening was I did my first test it in December last year, and then I just moved on to a different project, and I think I was a bit intimidated by the overall sort of lace pattern on it. And yeah, I just kind of had it in my stash, and it was one of those projects that I was so desperate to do that I basically just decided to cast it on. I didn't gauge swatch for it because I was too lazy. So the size I can't really guarantee is the same size as, like, I haven't measured it. I think the fit of it is brilliant, but again, I was just too lazy because the pattern repeat is not difficult, but it's not really easy to do flat and have the same sort of like measurement, and I didn't want to do a full gauge swatch in the round. So yeah, I haven't gauge swatched it. And I think I cast it on, you can see it, I always link my Ravelry below. I should say I don't check messages on Ravelry basically ever. So if you really want to get hold of me, it's much easier to get hold of me on Instagram. I think I cast it on in April, and it's kind of, the Fern sweater has kind of been a project that's just, I've done a row here and there kind of thing. In between test knitting this and test knitting, I did a test knit for Augustine's in June, and yeah, there was just lots of other projects that have kind of cropped up and taken all my knitting time. And then I think by the time we got her, I'd basically finished both sleeves, and I was just in the mood to knit it. Like, you know, sometimes you just have projects that you're just really enjoying working on them, and you just kind of want to finish them. And so I just pushed through and finished it. And once I really focused on it, it didn't take me that long. Obviously this was knitted on quite big needles. This was knitted on 7mm with 10 stitches per 10 centimeters, so quite a big gauge. Whereas that one was knitted on 4.5, so a lot smaller. I should also say that I knitted the Fern sweater in Knitting for Olive's original yarn. It's called Claret, and I really struggled to catch the true colour of it. To me, it's like a beautiful warm maroon brownie colour. As dark red is like my favourite tone and colour in the whole world, so it's such a me colour. I've had some people ask me how the pattern is, and I think knitting for Olive's pattern writing style either really suits you or it doesn't. It's probably not my favourite patterns, but equally I don't hate them. That was brave, Bela. That was very brave. What's this? What's this? Yeah, and I should also say, you can see on the video, but in the original Fern pattern, it has a roll neck, but I have said before that I'm really sensitive to itchy yarn, and so I just didn't, I knew I didn't want to do that. So instead, I just folded down the neckline and did the prescribed short rows in just normal stockinette stitch. Though to be fair, you could add it to the ribbing so the neck was higher. I tried it on after blocking it for the first time today, and I think it looks brilliant. I basically knitted everything for the measurements, and I think the length of it is basically perfect. Right, Poppy, where are you going? So, I'm sorry it's such a rush today, but I just feel like it's one of those that once you've been gone for a while, it's much harder coming back. So, if I move this so my Poppy doesn't eat what's in here, right, my little girl, where can I pop you so you don't eat it? Do you want to chew this? Do you want to chew this? No, this bag is much more interesting, isn't it? Do you want to come on here? You can go over here. Good girl. Good girl. Do you want this? So, with a slight interruption of the puppy, let's move on to my current projects. I am going to save this again. I'm just really quickly going to hold this up. This is a test knit that I feel really guilty because I have not finished it. She has already released the pattern, and I think I need to get back to it. It's just not, it hasn't been at a stage where it's been sort of mindless enough. So I'm almost done here with the front piece, which the puppy would like to contribute to. Fela, go get a toy. Right, that's not going to be very easy to show. I'll show a picture of the actual pattern and you can sort of judge what it looks like from there, but I'm basically almost done with the front bit of the pattern. And I'm knitting it in Peruvian Highland wool from Vilclana, which I quite like. Are you coming back on here? Oh, yes you are. Good girl. And yeah, so far so good. To be honest, again, it's just been, it's a pattern that's knitted flat, so it's a lot of... Just a second, I will pop this away because I think this bag is just too tempting for my little pupper. I think it's just, I've just been wanting to knit something else. I just kind of ran out of a little bit of knitting mojo for most of August, if I'm perfectly honest. Which is also why I've been so inactive everywhere. So I should have said that that was the test knit of the Hvidvinge sweater from Sandermann. And yeah, I have obviously made progress last time I'd done this much, but at the same time I haven't made as much as I'd hoped, and I'd obviously kind of hoped that it would have been finished by now. I just think I've been so tired that I've needed something considerably more mindless, and again it's just taken time to sort of refine that knitting mojo. I'm just going to show you my current whip, I should say, my current whip. This is very bright. I can see the puppy's eyeing this up. Just quickly going to hold it up because there isn't much to show as of yet, as I'm still doing all the raccoon increases. But it's very bright, very pink. This is sweater number 1 from My Favourite Things Knitwear, and that's really what's been getting most of my knitting attention recently. Sweater number 1 is a very simple raglan sweater knitted in 2 strands mohair on fairly big needles. I had swatched for it on 6mm as recommended in the pattern, but I was 2 or 3 stitches off gauge and my hair is quite stretchy. So I decided just to go up a needle size, knit it in the size I originally wanted, but I could potentially have more positive ease. And then I'm just going to see how that works out. To be honest, I just wanted to knit something quite mindless, and I find raglan is my favourite construction. You know, it's nice and knitted in around, doesn't require picking up lots of stitches, you know, everything is completely seamless. Sweater number 1 is My Favourite Things Knitwear sort of first sweater design. It was at least released before I started knitting. So yeah, I also do the use a stitch marker with both the ring and then just one of these you clip on. and I use that for raglan, and then it is essentially mindless. So one signifies rounds with increases and the other one signifies just knitting, and that's just a tip for me to you. I absolutely love doing that. And if for the Fern sweater I had basically a pattern and then just 2 rounds of normal knitting, and again I would just use stitch markers to mark that. So yeah, sweater number 1 is I'm knitting it in a mohair that I bought last year in Denmark in August. It's from Tendergrant. I'll link it down below. They don't ship to the UK anymore, but I think they might ship to the rest of Europe as far as I know. And so far I really like the feel of it. I'm obviously not a major mohair person, and if I'm perfectly honest, I bought it back in August last year when I was not as experienced a knitter and definitely didn't have as much experience with mohair. But yeah, so far so good. I know My Favourite Things Knitwear just yesterday put out a big announcement that she's going to slow down her releases, and I really like that sentiment. You know, I don't know about everyone else, but having sort of lost my knitting mojo for a little bit, I think I've just had to come to accept that I can't maybe produce as much as I've been used to, and I just kind of have been a bit out of the loop, and I think it's been good for me, to be honest. So yeah, I'm knitting sweater number 1, and I spoke about that one in a previous episode when I was speaking about knitting plans, and I think I'm going to try and get to some of those in the next wee while. I am kind of keen to get back onto some lace knitting because I absolutely love lace knitting. What is this? I absolutely love lace knitting, so I might see if I can't get a project like that. But to be honest, I cast on that less than a week ago, and I will probably finish the raglan increases today, and then I'm just splitting for sleeves, and then obviously it's just round and round with ribbing. Actually, a technique I needed for that was, well, she recommends using the Italian tubular cast on, and I tried that not years ago, I tried that last, maybe December time. I tried it once and I was like, wow, this is really hard. I think I'd managed to like cast on the stitches so incredibly hard I couldn't even move them on the needle, and I was like, well, can't use this for anything. And then Nina specified that specifically as to cast on for this, and I was like, well, I guess I'll have to learn. And I think trying the tubular cast on with slightly thicker yarn made it a lot easier, because I'd knitted a lot on that kind of 7mm needle size when I first started knitting, and I realised that the first time I did it, I think I was so nervous that the stitches just feel so loose compared to a long tail cast on, and I think that made me tighten it way too much. But just like with anything, over time you learn to find just enough pressure. Same with the, you know, the Italian tubular cast off, or just the Italian cast off, you know, when you sew. The first time I did it, it's easy to get a bit of a flare because you don't tighten enough. You can also tighten it too much so you can't get things on, and now it's just completely natural. And yeah, so I knew I really wanted to become good at the Italian tubular cast on, because it suits my, you know, it suits the cast off, which I've spoken about many a times as being my absolute favourite. So yeah, I used that on sweater number 1 as well, and so far so good. I put up a picture on my Instagram that shows sort of the neckline up close. So yes, that is all my projects, and I feel like I had someone who'd watched who was like, oh, I really love how like you're so focused and detailed, and you have all of these like really deep thoughts about everything, and it's really well considered. Clearly today, not like that. I am going to move on to a slightly more personal bit. If you can tell, that's kind of me naturally making that transition. So if you're not interested in that, you're welcome to head off now. I will hopefully be back in about a month's time with more knitting content. But yeah, I haven't bought anything, so there's none of that. So we'll straight on to the personal bit. So as I said, we picked up Fela in very start of August. My partner and I have been wanting a puppy for years. I probably, like, it's essentially like a first date question for me, like what kind of puppy would you get? And we'd actually looked at a puppy close to us, and the breeder just wanted a price that we weren't willing to pay, and then we found Fela's litter. So Fela, hello. She is well, I was going to see if I could get her over here, but I don't think it's going to work. What's this? Do you want to come over here? Come on. So, Fela, my little rascal here, she is half collie and half lab. Fela's mum was actually a fox red lab, which you wouldn't believe. The main thing, I think, most people think she's just a black... Well, that's going to be hard for me to reach, Fela. I think she's just a black lab, but her mum was actually fox red and her dad was classic tricoloured, so yeah, you wouldn't believe. But she's just black with white feet and a white chest and a white little chin. And I knew it was going to be hard to have a puppy, but I think it was hard in different ways than I expected. So just to say, this is just me sharing this sort of personal tidbit about my life, and not me asking for puppy advice. Because what I think I found really hard when we very first got her is you get so much unsolicited advice, and also a lot of advice that if you do proper research into people who are professionally qualified to give advice, you realise that you get advice that just goes completely against what modern dog trainers and behaviourists believe in. So I haven't spoken about it before, but I moved to Scotland to study at university, and I have a degree in psychology, so I consider myself fairly good at reading academic papers and reading that kind of literature that also relates to dogs, and it's amazing. I love talking about dogs. I love talking about the books I've read, so if anyone wants any tips, just find me. So yeah, we got her, and I think what I found the hardest was that I don't think I had expected how clingy a puppy is. Like, they will literally not leave you alone at all if they can help it, and I found that really difficult at first. Like, I just not even being able to go to the toilet alone. Don't be fooled by the fact that in this episode she has probably been least amount of rascal I've ever seen her. Usually she's like all over the place, and so you don't get to sit down very much. And when we very first got her, she did not believe in naps. So we also spent a lot of time with a puppy who were really overtired and just desperately needing a nap and not being able to settle for it. So if I'm perfectly honest, the first 4 weeks we had her, I don't even think I knitted more than a few stitches because I was just so exhausted, and because she wouldn't sleep, I couldn't sleep, and yeah, I was up every 2 hours to take her outside, and it was rough. And now she's we've almost had her for 2 months, so she's 14 weeks, which I don't actually know how much that is in months. But we're currently at that nice in-between stage where she started sleeping through the night. I don't think we've had a toilet accident for well over a week, though toilet training was never really a struggle with Fela. So like, a lot of things are slowly but surely becoming easier with her. I think she's kind of slowly starting to get better at biting all her toys instead of us. And so for the first few weeks, I was just not in the mood at all to knit. I was just so tired, and I just needed that break. And there was a little while when I was like, I wonder if that's just me, like, will I ever feel the need to knit again? And then almost like overnight, it just hit me, and I was like, I need to knit again. And I haven't been knitting every day, and I certainly still don't knit anywhere near as much as I used to, but the passion has just come back, and it's such a lovely feeling. I think for the first wee while of having her, I just felt like I lost a little bit touch of who I was as well, trying to balance the whole like crazy dog mum life with taking care of myself. But now that she's getting a little bit easier, I'm really feeling that desire to to, you know, pick up my hobbies again and to be a bit more myself. So yeah, the past few weeks I'm buzzing. I want to knit everything, and I'm really enjoying coming a bit more back on Instagram. I am still horrifically behind on every single message anyone has sent, and I will apologise if, you know, this video isn't as well edited, if I still disappear off Instagram for a few days, but things are really looking up again, and I think I needed it. Honestly, I have done many things I think many people would consider hard, you know, moving to a foreign country and all of these things, but nothing has been as hard as the first few weeks were with her. My partner had some commitments away that he just could not get out of, and being alone as well was really, really tough. And now we're starting to hit that point where we're forgetting already. Like, the past few days we've looked at pictures of her. When we first got her, she was 4 kilos, you know, she was teeny tiny, and now she's almost 10 kilos, and she's just so big. And yeah, it's crazy how much it also gives you, like, outside of it, you know, now that she's getting bigger and it's getting easier, she gives you so much back. I have never been a big Monday person, but, you know, she forces me to get up every morning, and now that we have her, there's no excuse not to go out for a walk, even if it's raining, because she loves it. And it's been really good for me. But yeah, it has been really tough, and as I said, this episode, I already know I'm going to be editing it and thinking, you can't even upload that. But I also think it's a fair reflection on what my brain is like. It's not very focused, and I haven't had the same amount of time to dedicate to knitting, which I feel like I've spoken about it on here before, about why I started knitting and what knitting offers me, but I think I found knitting in May of 2020, and it was a hobby that I really needed at the time. You know, where I live, we had lots of really strict lockdowns, really strict, especially over the summer period. You know, we had quite a few months of only being allowed out once a day, not being allowed to see anyone. We didn't have a garden. We were just stuck inside our tiny flat, and it was soul destroying. You know, I just lost the ability to see my friends. I didn't go to work all of a sudden. I couldn't go train. I couldn't really do anything. And knitting kind of offered me that reason to at least do something every day. And knitting served that purpose basically through all of COVID. But I could also tell that, I guess at some point, it just, as much as it was a big part of my life, I just knew there was more I needed to do to feel better. And the puppy isn't a fix either. I'm just going to say that. If anyone out there is really suffering, you should obviously see a professional, but she offers me something on top of what knitting offers me, and she offers me a chance to get up and to do things and be out and about, and I think the two of them will really suit me and my life. You know, I after I graduated uni, I kind of moved from living in central Edinburgh, and when I was a student, you know, I was really involved in societies and had big circles of friends, to slowly but surely, you know, I moved a bit out of town. Like, I was a bit more in the outskirts of Edinburgh. Then we moved to sort of central Scotland, and most of my uni friends moved away and got different jobs, and I got engaged, and, you know, meeting Ben, I did that when I finished my degree, and I still, you know, meeting Ben is one of the best things that's ever happened to me, because he just gets me in a way that no one really does. But all of these things still meant that I kind of lost my network, and knitting has definitely given me some. If anyone's sort of central Scotland based and wants to meet and knit, let me know. I'm always on the lookout for friends nearby that are into knitting. But a dog offers the same thing in a different way. You know, we funnily enough live on the same street as her litter mate, and now I have play dates to go to with her, and you go for walks and you meet the same dog owners, and yeah, I think it's been really good for me. but I've also just missed a little bit being here and talking about knitting. I should finish off by saying that the good thing about all of this is that the reason there's no acquisitions is that getting a puppy is much more expensive than I kind of imagined before we got her, because she goes through so many toys and she loves toys. She's very playful, and you know, you have to buy all the toys, and you have to buy expensive insurance, and you have to buy expensive food, and you have to buy lots of treats, and you have to buy this, you have to buy that. So I haven't had any money to spend on yarn, basically, because yeah, there's been any left. And I also think that's probably an added benefit, because I will show you my stash one day. I don't think I'll do it in this crazy coming back video that's all over the place, but yeah, I really want to knit through most of my stash, because after getting her, I kind of realised I had all this beautiful, wonderful yarn that now, with my, you know, severely decreased amount of knitting, I might never really knit through. So yeah, it's going to be a winter of knitting through my stash, really. And I know every time I talk about it, there's always loads of comments saying the exact same thing, that, you know, lots of people build such a stash and don't work through it, and it's such a shame, because I have so much beautiful yarn. We also have, probably will be doing some baby knitting, not for me, I'm not pregnant. I definitely the puppy is plenty baby for me for now, but I do think in a sort of circle of friends, I have a gut feeling there's going to be quite a few babies in the next few years, so might do some leftover knitting for that. And yeah, I'm just so excited to knit. So I feel like I've been so scatterbrained, nothing has made sense, but at least I recorded today. I have been saying I would for ages. If you've stuck with me this long, I'd love to hear what you're knitting on. Have you found any life events that turned your knitting upside down, that made you knit more, or maybe made you knit less, like my little rascal did? And if you do have pets, see, I'm allergic to cats, so the reason we don't have a cat is because I'm allergic to cats. But yeah, I love animals so much. If it wasn't so ruthless to be a vet, that's definitely what I should have done. But yeah, I think that is all I kind of had to cover. Everything will be linked down below. And I guess hopefully I'll see you in about a month's time. Thanks so much for watching and for sticking through all of this. See you later. Bye.